Okay, Ann, here we go. Here's your little tutorial on how to rip a CD and edit it. We're going to use iTunes to rip the CD. I've got a CD in my computer, and if you look here, you can see it's got all the names. I'm going to go to the Preferences, and under when you insert a CD, Import Settings, we can change this to Wave Encoder, which is just like the best quality that we can use right now to edit things. We're just going to hit OK there and OK. And now when I select a track and I right click, or if you're on a laptop you can hold down Control and click, you can see that Create Wave Version is right there. So I'm going to do that on the shortest tune just to speed this up a little bit. So Create Wave Version. I'm not entirely sure where it's going to do that, but we can figure that out in just a second. So that's going to take a couple of minutes. So while that's happening, I'm going to show you what we want to do is pull up a browser and go to Reaper.fm, which is a website for Reaper. A cool program that's free and will allow you to do this pretty easily. So if you just click on this thing where it says latest or go to download or anything like that, you're probably on an OS X Intel machine, so we're going to click that, and it's going to start downloading. So we're going to download that. It's a very short little file, so it shouldn't take very long. And while that's working, we're going to go over here and try and find where it put that. Let's see. I think it might also tell you where it puts it in the preferences. Like if you go to well, maybe advanced, it's probably shows you that this is probably where it's going to put it. So I'm going to go looking there and see if it put it there. So for me, that would be like on my hard drive. I think it was under users, and then I don't even remember. I'm just going to kind of go through and see if it's in here. And let's see. There it is. Okay, so I put it there. So I'm just going to drag this right onto the desktop here so I know where it is. So there's my track. So I can you know, eject my CD and quit iTunes because I'm done with all that. Hey, Barry Coleman right there. Alright, so I quit that. I finished downloading Reaper, so that shows up here, and that's just like a little program that you can install on your computer. If you double click on that icon, it'll bring up all this kind of stuff and open it up for you. And then this little icon appears on your desktop. You double click that. Sorry, this is all opening on another screen, so I have to drag it open. And then you just drag these two files right onto your applications. It'll take a second, and in my case it says there's already something there. I'm just going to replace both of them. And there we go. Is that we have Reaper installed. And so now when you go to your applications folder, let's see. And I click on applications, you'll see that like Reaper is down here, right? Reaper.app. So I'm just going to double click on that. And if we look in the folder that I created with the actual, oh yeah, it might tell you this if you downloaded it from the internet. Are you sure you want to open it? Yes, I'm sure. So if I open up the folder with Barry's music in it, you can see that there's the WAV file that I had iTunes rip out of there. And if you hit the space bar while you're selected on it, it'll actually give you a little audio preview of that. Okay, so here is Reaper. It looks really complicated, but it's really not very. I'm going to make the window just a little smaller so we can kind of like make it all work here. So I'm just going to drag in the WAV file that I ripped out of the CD. And there it goes. It's going to create a little wave interpretation. So we're just looking right at the very beginning of it, and maybe you want to look at the whole thing. You can go to the right side of the scroll bar here and it'll drag out, or if you actually just double click on there, it'll show you the whole thing. And if you want to see this a little better, again, you can kind of like go to the bottom of this track here and pull it down. It'll show you more of it. So let's say, for example, I wanted to just take it from maybe just right here to right there or something like that. One thing that it's going to do right off the bat is it's going to create maybe like 5-second grids, and it'll lock your selections to the grid. maybe you may not want it to do that. So up here in these buttons, where it says grid lines enabled, and then this next one that looks like a magnet, it says snap enabled, you can turn that off, because in this case you probably don't really need that. So now I can make my selection really freely. And so say for example I just wanted it to start right here, whatever, you can easily do that. If you have any problems hearing, you can always go to the preferences and double check that your audio device is just set to built-in output, and that'll just be, you know, your computer, and then you can actually hear stuff. Alright, so just to make some quick edits on this track, all I have to do is I just put my cursor to the left of the track and you can see that that's going to actually make it easy for me to cut from the left side. Now of course I can do the same thing on the right side, just to kind of cut it out over there. Alright, and so once we get the section that we want, like say for example we just want this to right here. Once we get that, we can easily make fades also on this track just by putting our cursor more at the top of, I'm pretty sure that's how you do that anyways. Yeah, you see how the cursor changes to this kind of like different icon as I move up and down. So anywhere near the bottom it's going to stay in this kind of like bracket thing saying we're going to start there. Now this is actually a fade, so you can see as I move to the right it actually fades things. And so I'm going to do the same thing on both sides, and that way I just have a little selection. So when I start playing, it'll fade in really nicely. And you can zoom in on this if you want to see it a little better or whatever. You know, if you really want to get your fade exactly right, you can move it around and really tweak it out. And it actually tells you in there like how long. Like right now it's 5 seconds or whatever, 5.083 seconds. So it's a nice little fade in, right? So in this case, you know, you might want to move your edit and have your fade come in faster or something like that, right? So now it sounds... So you can you know, be highly selective with how this works. And once you get it just right, go up to the File menu. And I'm sorry you can't see my my menu, but go up to File and choose Render. And this Render to File box will come up. The main things to note here are the output file where you actually want to save this. So I'm going to just save this to the desktop, and I'm going to call it, you know, maybe Figure 1 or whatever. I'm going to keep it as a WAV file, which is great. And I'm not going to change any of these things here. And if you have Render Entire Project selected right here, then it actually is just whatever you have in this window, it's going to render to a single file. When I click Render, it's going to go really fast. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah. But in this case, it actually rendered all the space at the beginning, and I can just see that just right here in the graphic. So we didn't want it to do that. So I'm going to look at that screen again. Whoops. And then we can actually do something different, like render time selection. So if we want to render the time selection, it's actually going to be this little bar up here. So I can select, if I'm in this kind of cursor piece, I can select different areas, and once I have a time selected, I can select it just, you know, more precisely. So that looks good there, something like that. All right, now I choose Render, overwrite, and we should see the audio right away. Yep. So there we go. If that's confusing at all, let me know. But that is the easiest way to do it. And now, if I look at my desktop, I have this cool Figure 1 file right here. And if I listen to it, so it's got my fade in. And if you wanted to double check it, you could just drag it in over here to Reaper and verify that it looks like you expected, right? Figure 1. So that's the easiest way to do it, and let me know if you have any problems. You're using iTunes and you're using Reaper. Good luck.